What is going on, everybody? We're here. We're live. Usually it's not in the middle of the month, but that's the way it is this month because between traveling and then getting a little bit sick, we had to delay the supporter stream, but we're here. We're ready to rock and roll, at least a few of us. I don't know how many people are going to be joining us today. Obviously, we usually do this earlier in the month or at the very end of the month, not the middle of the month. So I know a lot of people have other stuff going on, I'm sure. But we're ready to roll, as you guys know. Once a month, top tier supporters on the main channel over on Patreon, stuff like that, locals. They come here, they join me. You get to hear from somebody else other than me. My fucking boring, stale takes that you hear over and over again. You hear me talk about it on Geeks and Gamers, and you hear me talk about it on Friday Night Tights. You hear me talking about on my main channel. Every once in a while, we get a different perspective. So without any further ado, let's say hi to the chat, and then we'll say hi to the people in the back room right now. Xander is here. Voxcaster, SDF, Hunter, Rebel Arrow says, fuck James Gunn. Yes, very much so. Spazzy Me. Mike Hill says another Disney movie bombed at the box office. Tron Ares, dumpster fire. $33 million last I looked for Tron Ares. That is rough. Jens is here. The Planet Willow. Zach T says condolences to your Cubs. I don't want to talk about it. We already talked about it on Sports Wars. Cubs, they made a good solid run. They did better than I expected them to. So although it's very disappointing, I do think they overachieved this year. So solid season for the Cubs. Good times to look forward to in the future. With that being said, let's bring him in. He's been gone for a while, but he's finally back because he's got a long Indigenous Peoples Day weekend. Sir Reefer is here. What's up, man?
Oh, not much. Just been chilling, killing.
We had a big conversation before the stream started where you were really mad that I didn't know what day Columbus Day was because I was
dude, I didn't know until a few days ago. That's the funny part. I was giving
you were in the Navy. Christopher Columbus sailed. You should know that.
No. He was a sailor. There is a big fucking difference.
I'm like, how the fuck would I know that? Why would I know what some Portugal man who did some shit for Spain 300 years before the United States was a country? Why would I know what fucking day that is?
Because that was when the New World was found by the Old World. Commie propaganda doesn't teach you this shit.
And I don't give a shit. But I am glad when people call it Columbus Day, not Indigenous Peoples bullshit, whatever the fuck they've tried to rename it to. But thanks for joining us, Sir Reefer. We've also got John Getz Gaming, but he's here in Halloween form. John Getz slashing. What's up, man?
Hey,
how you doing?
Guys, what's up? And oh, by the way, booga booga, Jason's really here. Whoa, scary. Anyways,
we don't get a Friday the 13th this month, do we?
No,
it's been a minute since we've gotten. No, that's tomorrow. See,
we haven't gotten a movie since 2009, which sucks major balls.
That's due to the way the licensing rights are tied up, and because part one is owned by like 3 guys, and 2 of them hate each other, so they never work together or license it out. And then part 2 through 4 is owned by another company, and 5 and 6 are owned by another guy. It's ridiculous. That's why he's not in Dead by Daylight.
Well, it's a shame because they could do a legacy sequel like Halloween and have Tommy Jarvis from part 6 come back.
That'd be pretty cool. That would be pretty fucking cool.
They have a Jason house at Universal at Halloween Horror Nights.
It would not surprise me if Universal owned 2 through 4.
Does the Halloween Horror Nights place? Does it just have people having sex in the room, pot smoke billowing out everywhere, and then blood splatters?
They don't have people having sex. However, you do see shadows of people who are clearly in cabins and shit that are taking their clothes off for kissing or whatever, getting ready to fuck. And then something bad will happen and blood will splatter. Yeah, they do have that. That is 100% a theme of that house.
They just have Sydney Sweeney gifs playing everywhere. They're like, look, boobs, just like in the movies.
That would be nice. And I do not know if what the rights are. they do plenty of Halloween Horror Nights stuff that they don't specifically have rights to in terms
They'll
of
license it
their
out.
making. There's a lot of shared properties and stuff because
Well, and
they've got a Fallout house, like and Amazon Prime is obviously doing the Fallout show, and they have that as a house there too. Because it's like, what is it?
because
Amazon's
the owners
not
of
going to
these,
make a fucking a haunted house about Fallout, so they
and
might
it's
as well
free
sell the rights to
promotion for
Universal.
them. Yeah,
Go ahead.
I was gonna say it's free promotion for them. Why would they give a shit? You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, not only that, they get paid. Like,
Oh,
I'm sure that
I guess
Universal
if they have to
comes
license
terms,
out. Okay. Yeah.
you know,
Well,
like they've had Stranger Things houses before, so they've made deals with Netflix to do Stranger Things haunted house because that's what draws a lot of the people in.
I
Are
was gonna
obviously
say
the big theme houses.
a lot of the issues with the Jason licensing rights is the same reason why Magic the Gathering, they've been doing their Universes Beyond, Wizards has, where they do the crossovers with other properties like Final Fantasy and Fallout and Marvel and shit like that.
Well, the
And
best
like
they just
Lord of
had
the
their
Rings magic cards and stuff.
the one where they turned Aragorn black. That was awesome.
Oh, Magic the Gathering just had something else. What did they?
Spider-Man.
Oh no, it was April O'Neil. They made a Black April card from
did
Teenage
they?
Mutant Ninja Turtles or
that
something.
I didn't hear about that.
I think that was real. Anyways,
it might be. All I know is that we got Spider-Man released recently, the Spider-Man set, but it's not Spider-Man on MTG Arena because they didn't get they didn't pay for the digital licensing rights, so they have technically different non-copyright violating cards that are functionally the same, like on MTG Arena, their digital client, that is the same as the paper cards in terms of the game. But it's not Spider-Man.
Is it Miles Morales because it's not Spider-Man?
Well,
what is the name? What's the name of like the character then?
So the set is called Through the Omen Paths on MTG Arena, but Green Goblin gets turned into a goblin called Fleam.
That sounds like something Mahler would make up. He's always like the fleams and stuff.
Yeah,
He's always
that's what I'm
saying that.
I was like, what? Horseshoe theory is true, ladies and gentlemen.
It's kind of like when they started saying glove shit all the time, and I feel like everybody started copying them after they were making fun of outlaws and everything.
Now there's actually going to be a character named that in some fucking thing. Like Disney's going to think it's a fan favorite thing, and they're going to create a character called that.
Like
I think,
Morbius.
well, Jared Leto may run back to Morbius now. He may be like, oh, never mind. I had a bigger opening with that.
I think it did.
I know the Thursday or Friday beat it. I'm pretty sure Morbius beat Tron on like the preview day. I'm pretty sure. So I don't know how it's turned out since then.
I'm gonna look up the numbers for Morbius.
I saw somewhere that Tron just got like it earned 30 million and it fell short or something. I saw that on Twitter because I follow you guys.
I think 33 million is what its opening was, and yeah, Morbius opened to 39 million.
Speaking of box office, I have to take a bit of a victory lap because I think it was on the last supporters stream. I think it was here where I was like, I don't know. I saw what Superman was petering out at, and I was like, I think Demon Slayer might beat Superman at the box office. I was kind of like calling it pretty early, I feel like.
You did say that, and yeah, Demon Slayer fucking wrecked it. Now, obviously, it didn't reach the United States domestic total, but in terms of worldwide, it did. Obviously, a lot of money in Japan for that movie.
Yeah,
all right.
It did pretty decent, though, in the U.S. It over doubled the last one, because that one was like 50 million, but it was also in like 2021 when there were still a bunch of lockdowns and shit. So I was like, I don't know, I feel like this one could do pretty significantly better here. And I think it easily went over 100 here.
What is it?
Demon Slayer Infinity Castle.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like part one of a finale trilogy, so I have to think that like
Jesus,
it was kind of a prelude to these other ones, so I have a feeling that the subsequent ones are going to do pretty damn well. It's kind of nice that the series gets popular right now because it can't be infected and changed a bunch by fucking US people because it's at its finale. It's like, oh, thank God, because as soon as there was a story about like Netflix looking at making a live action of it, and I was like, well, here incoming you guys won't know this character probably, but Mitsuri is like a big boobed, very revealing outfit. Like
I think I know which character you're talking about.
Well, aside from her looks, like even her character itself, where her entire like shtick is being like super cutesy girly, and like her entire reason for joining the Demon Slayer Corps is to find a man who's stronger than her to marry. And I'm like, well, Netflix is gonna have to just like completely rewrite this character if they ever adapt this. They're gonna be like, well, first of all, she's played by Zendaya. She wears a trash bag, and she's looking for a woman, not a man. Like,
God.
they're just gonna like completely Uno reverse this if they ever make that live action. I would actually laugh.
Is that One Piece season 2 live action supposed to be coming out next year? I think, right? I never watched that first one. I didn't give a shit.
A lot of people liked that series, including like One Piece fans. I'm a One Piece fan. I did not really like it. I feel like it just is a tough series to translate into live action because they toned down so much of like especially like the action. And then the actors, a lot of people like the main actor, and he was very clearly like English was not his first language. It really felt like he was struggling to get out some of the lines, and like his inflection on a lot of words was just off. He'd be like, "We're going to go to the Grand Line," and I'm just like, that sounds like someone who doesn't speak English, like trying to will it. Like it's really hard to act in a non-native language of you.
The whole thing, it just looked goofy to me. Like the trailers.
One Piece is goofy. That's the thing, and it's.
Well, that's what
animated.
I mean by it's tough to translate. Yeah, it's like it's such an over-the-top show. Like in the same show that you have pirates, you also have like the ships firing sci-fi lasers, and you also have like them going into the sky to fight angels and shit. Like it's just like, I mean, it's been like a fucking 25-year series, well, over that now, and it's like made for printed page. So
would not have been my first choice as a studio to fund.
Well, some of their other first choices have been pretty. Like I thought, Cowboy Bebop would translate great into live action. That was one where I always thought, oh, that would be. That's pretty easy. It's grounded sci-fi.
I knew they were gonna butcher that. Anyway, before I forget, I found the reskin for Peter Parker.
Oh,
it's called Surus Spider Silk Innovator.
Spider Silk Innovator.
And then his flip side, because all the main characters have two sides, is Surus Silk Tech Vanguard.
How is Surus spelled? Is it just like S-R?
S-U-R-R-I-S.
Oh, okay, got it.
That's weird, like the different rights. Trademark and copyright shit is so wild. There's so many different deviations and different rules of the things that you can protect, and therefore would have to have like separate agreements in order to sell the rights to something. It's fucking nuts.
Well, especially with all this digital stuff. Like, I literally bought a movie on Amazon, and then later on, Sony bought all the anime shit, and so I just, like, can't watch it now, even though I paid for it. And it's, like, taken off my Prime, and they're like, oh, you gotta subscribe to Crunchyroll. Well, okay, I'm subscribed to Crunchyroll, went to watch the English dub of the movie, and they had, in the old version that I had, and the version I have on Blu-ray, luckily, they have the voices, the singer is bilingual, and he'll translate all of his songs. For some reason, they just play the Japanese track in like in the one that's on streaming. So I'm like, well, I'm glad I have a Blu-ray, because otherwise I couldn't listen to like the best version of the movie. And it's like, that digital shit is just like trying to fuck you over so many ways.
Well, when, like 15 years ago, when it started to become like this common practice to, when you bought a Blu-ray or something, you also had access to like a code that would give you, hey, Sony has this fucking cloud thing that you can also do this and get access to this and have a digital like ownership of it. Yeah. Well, then like some of those things are like, oh yeah, by the way, we're just not going to do this anymore. There's no support for this fucking infrastructure anymore. And it's just gone. So that thing means nothing anymore. And I'm just throwing Sony out there as an example. I don't know if they still do that or not, but that's happened a couple times.
They used to have the most like consumer friendly Sony thing that I remember was like whenever they were trying to push the Vita, and they would have games come out across them, like they'd come out on PS3 and Vita,
and the Vita,
you get the Vita version for like free with the PS3 version of the game. Like that was like the game version of that, where they'd give you the little code for it. I was like, oh, this is pretty generous, this is pretty nice. And then it was they stopped that shit because obviously Vita died. But
do you guys remember? God, it had to be 2006 or 7 or something like that, when the war was on between what would be the next iteration of DVD. Was it going to be HD DVD or was it going to be Blu-ray?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I had a couple of HD DVDs back in the day. I had when I bought something, it came with an HD DVD version of, I think, the Bourne Supremacy or Bourne Ultimatum or something. I had a handful of HD DVDs.
Well, I saw a few of those at a garage sale not too long ago that I was at. I was like, whoa, there's a blast from the past. Somebody's still trying to get rid of these, huh? The dead format in 2025.
I've still got one of those readers in my PC.
Well, that was Sony's big thing with the PS3 since they were all in with Blu-rays. They were like, well, this thing costs like over $800 to make, but I guess we'll sell it for $600 because we just want to win this format war and we'll like lose $1 billion selling these.
Yeah, and I mean that was huge. Like
but
that
then
in general, being able to get a Blu-ray player with your PlayStation was a huge deal. And
the reason it cost $800 to make is because they had to build a PlayStation 2 disc reader into the first generation.
I did fuck over
for backwards
GameStop.
Compatibility.
Yeah.
Like that thing is a fucking brick. And I have a Slim. I know my mom and stepdad have an original run that is backwards compatible because I would play my PlayStation 2 games on it. Right? So I know it exists in good condition, but I want one for myself. So I have been looking and they are not fucking cheap.
Well, so I originally had one of those, and then whenever I got Red Dead Redemption, it started to overheat all the time and like started to putter out. So I'm like, let me just pawn this off to GameStop before it like fully breaks. And I brought in my shitty controller with a floppy joystick, and I'm like, here's my PS3. It's like the original one that has all the back, and they were having some special deal on it at the time. It's like 2009, 2010. It must have been 2010 because of Red Dead. And they were like, oh, yeah, like it's still turned on and everything, though. So the guy's checking out the store. He turns it on. He's like, this controller's kind of bad. Calls the manager. The manager like pulls out a new controller. He's like, it's the really nice model. Like, we should take this. And they gave me a couple $100 for it. Like, GameStop is so stingy, but they still gave me some cash for that. I was like, okay, yeah. And I just walk out. Got my fucking credit and left.
You're a piece of shit. Some poor guy had to go in there and clean that after he bought it.
I mean, it probably would work fine with a little bit of tuning up, to be honest with you.
It honestly probably just needs a cleaning, if we're being honest.
It was only on certain games. Like, I was able to play a bunch of digital games and, like, all these other ones. It was pretty much only Red Dead that was making it overheat, and I kind of just wanted a Slim anyway. By the way, the Slim can still play PS1, as a lot of people do not know that. I play PS1 games on my Slim all the time.
Yeah, because Blu-ray can, and it's because the PlayStation 2 used a really weird disc technology that wasn't HD DVD. It was like a precursor to HD DVD.
I remember even the PS1 back in the 90s, we were all like, hey, this thing can play CD-ROMs, guys. You can put in your Backstreet Boys CD.
You can play music on your, bro, like, it's so crazy because
we used to get true technological innovation, not this bullshit DLSS upscaled AI fake frame generation bullshit.
It's true, but there was also so many more leaps that had to happen.
True.
Yeah, you had pixelated, blocky characters.
I'm thinking of when you and your brother or your friend or whatever had your different fucking memory cards that you put in. You know what I mean? Like that type of shit. You try to save a fucking thing and your memory card would be full. You'd be fucking panicking. You're like 8 megabyte memory, whatever the fuck they were back then. You know?
No shit.
Everything's so different now.
Right before I moved out for school, my dad had me look at the PlayStation 2 and I got it cleaned up and resoldered the chip on it, the mod chip on it, because one of the solders had kind of cracked a bit. And that thing purrs like a fucking Ferrari, bro. We've been getting my brother into MX Unleashed and shit because he's been playing these games. He's been playing on his PC, which is my other brother's old PC. And we're trying to get him away from that because that's what he likes to sit on all the time.
You know, I'm still lugging my PlayStation 3 around, but honestly, I have not turned it on since I bought a PlayStation 4. You know what I mean? So I have no idea.
I haven't had the room for all of my shit. You know what I mean? I need to own a house. I need to have my own place with nobody else in it.
Well, I have Bro, I went all out for the PS3. I had like the backpack that they sold for it, like a little travel
Nice.
backpack. So I still got that thing fucking carrying it around for no fucking reason.
I got
I
like
remember-
a gun case for my PS5 that was like cut out for it. You know, it has like the cushions on the inside, and you just insert it, and then it's got room for like the controller and like the charge
Like
cords and
foam
a couple
cutout pieces
games
or whatever.
Yeah, and it just like locks up like a briefcase, and you just carry that because I would travel to a friend's house a lot of times who's not as much of a gamer, like around like Halloween, holidays, whatever. And I would always like pack up my horror games or whatever to go visit.
It's fucking fancy.
I have a Scuff Impact controller that I spent a couple $100 on years ago. That's Hick soldered back together and Jimmy rigged together.
Because you had the backwards compatible. I had the Slim. I had the one that came out a year after or whatever. That's
the Slims are nice. I have a Slim. I love it.
The first Slim is the second one with the manual like little thing you had to slide over that they made really late. That one was kind of cheap looking and feeling.
Yeah,
but
that
the
one
first Slim was solid.
Yeah, the one with the physical buttons on it.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And I still have my right now. I got my PS2 Slim, PS3 Slim, and PS5 Slim. So I got not Slim actually. I still have my regular PS5. Yeah, I got all the generations covered. I just swap out the HDMI whenever you got to swap it. Ryan, if you haven't fired up your PS3 in a while, you would probably, I don't know if you played the Medal of Honor 2010 game. That was like the modern setting one in like Afghanistan.
I didn't play that one. No.
Yeah. It pretty blatantly copied, like it came out like 3 years after Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare, so it's pretty blatantly like copying that campaign. But it just has a really awesome campaign you'd probably actually enjoy. You're like in the mountains in Afghanistan doing all like you're like a ranger, and then you're special forces going in to extract some people. It's like all in like I think like a 12 or 24 hour span where they like have this big operation go on, and you play as all these different operatives on there.
That's fucking cool.
Was that one just called Medal of Honor, or did it have something else? Okay,
no,
so that was. I grew up playing Warfighter. And Warfighter was fucking fun. And then I got the new Xbox 360 Medal of Honors from my aunt one year. Yeah. And I was like, holy shit. And then Linkin Park was on one of them. I remember. I'm like, what the fuck?
I think that was the 2010 one. Yeah.
I was like, what the fuck? This is awesome.
Because I think I got copyright struck when I streamed it for some Linkin Park song in the end credits. I was like, what the hell?
Yeah.
I had a rich buddy when I was in high school who he had like a little upstairs segment of his house where they just had a bunch of computers set up, bunch of PCs. Everyone would go up there, play fucking Medal of Honor. Back in the day.
Holy shit.
Yeah, it was fun. It was always fun hanging at his house. They had all that shit.
I hung out with had dirt bike tracks in their backyard.
If they would have had that type of land, I'm sure that's what they would have done.
Okay, yeah. Okay, so it's not. It's rich white people everywhere are like that.
That's kind of the area I'm in. Yeah, people have the dirt bike. They have all the circles for it where they're doing like the burnouts, spinning around in circles in their backyard.
Udite for $5 says I still have my HD DVD player and a few movies. A Clockwork Orange and Pan's Labyrinth are the best. Yeah, that's like whenever I think of that, I think about anybody who thought that was going to be the next thing, and you ended up buying a bunch of HD DVDs, and then 6 months later, the technology is completely obsolete. It's not that it's obsolete, but no one's using it, and no one's going to be doing anything with it anymore.
You know why, right?
I know that. So these are things I know. The Blu-ray was slightly more expensive. The HD DVD seemed like a cheaper option for some people, but I always felt that PlayStation deciding to go with the Blu-ray was a big portion of the reason that HD DVD died out, but I don't really know the real reason.
No, so I don't. The prawn industry used Blu-ray.
Oh, really? So, that's what people say about VHS and Beta, though, too, right?
Well, and that's also why that's also why we got such advancements in 3D graphics rendering and animation with Blender and shit. Was the chick from BioShock.
What, BioShock Infinite?
No, not Infinite.
Oh, okay.
This was long ago. Right? Okay. Before animation became what it is. She was big tittied. But Yeah, no, that's exactly why. Like the prawn industry has driven a lot of our media storage technological innovation because it's been so prolific.
Uh,
Oh no,
and so-
Brian's
and so,
searching
like- and so-
HD DVD porn right now.
I am looking up. Did the porn industry dictate?
Dude, I found that out forever ago, and I just believed it because I'm like, you know what, that makes sense.
Well, I just remember Metal Gear Solid 4. You would get you got to Shadow Moses, which is the site of the original Metal Gear Solid, and your little Otacon radios you, and he's like bah bah, and you answer it, and he's like, Snake, it's time to change the disc. I know it's annoying, but you've got a big game and everything, and he's just like, oh wait, these are Blu-ray discs, dual layered too. You don't have to change them, Snake. he's like, get a grip, Otacon.
So here's what my AI overview gives me.
Okay.
Whatever you want to think about that.
The AI trained on Reddit.
The porn industry supported both formats initially, but ultimately helped tilt the market toward Blu-ray, mirroring its influence in the earlier VHS versus Betamax war. While HD DVD had lower production total costs, Blu-ray's victory was secured by the larger entertainment industry's support and the inclusion of Blu-ray players in every PlayStation 3 console.
Yeah. Okay. I can see that. See the PS3 influencing it that much, though.
Yeah, because
So,
I mean, PS3 only sold
That's
like
what 100
87
million fucking
lifetime.
sales for PS3 or something, right?
Yeah, it's the only one that didn't sell 100. It was like 87 or so. But yeah, close enough.
Close, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is a lot. I mean, that's
enough to get
big number.
it in the top 10.
Yeah.
Which they
Especially-
have
and
to
it'd be different, I suppose, if like it would be different if maybe like Xbox 360 or whatever, if they came out with a fucking HD DVD, but they didn't, right? They just had a normal DVD drive.
Yeah, they
Right?
did.
Oh, okay. I
Yeah,
thought
it was
maybe
just
had
it was just an
attachment.
optical drive.
Oh, okay.
Because you could move a PlayStation 3 around with the disc inside as long as it was a PS3 disc. You could not move a 360 around with a disc inside of it. Otherwise, you would scratch it. The lens would scratch the disc.
I didn't know about that shit, but
Oh yeah, no, dude. Like I said, I was fixing Red Rings of Death when I was a kid.
where I played Xbox the most was at my rich buddy's house, where they also had Xboxes. That's where I'd play Halo and shit all the time.
Oh yeah,
I
Like-
didn't own an Xbox until the Xbox One era, and that's why I had all the fucking money in the world, so I could just buy whatever I wanted. You know what I mean?
See, we got a PlayStation 3 Christmas year 2008. Like Christmas 2008. It came with like Guitar Hero and shit. Right? Like I did not realize how much money my mom and stepdad spent on that fucking thing until years later. And
Yeah,
I'm like, holy shit. he
started
bought
with
it for him.
DDR and the dance pads, and then they were like, I bet we can make people buy a lot more of this shit. We can make
Dude,
a
the
whole
fucking
band.
rock
be-
band,
because-
the rock
yeah,
band
because-
drum set. Yeah, dude.
Well, because more people are into rock and roll than they are dancing.
Well, and also it wasn't like really dancing. It was
Right.
like, oh, this will teach you to dance. You'll go forward, backward, backward, tap,
Left,
tap,
right,
tap.
left, right, yeah.
Well, and then you had the fucking off-brand one that was on the corners. You know what I mean?
Oh, God, yeah.
You had DDR, which I think is just like the straight forward, straight back, straight side, and then you had another one that was like the corner ones, right?
Yeah.
But I don't remember what fucking brands are which. I was not a big DDR guy, I'll be honest.
But no, so anyway, we got that, but we were only ever allowed to play that once in a while because it sat in the living room. It wasn't until we moved and we were like, Mom, can we get an Xbox for Call of Duty? Like,
I just
we
remember
we don't play the PlayStation. Can we get this? And she's like, we got it for Christmas, and she's like, only because you can turn the blood off. I'm like, okay, if that's what you're worried about, Mom, because MW3 you could turn the blood off and have cash spew out.
well, my basically my parents hate every song on Guitar Hero 2 because they had to listen to them so many times. It's just like you're playing Sweet Child of Mine to this day. I think they get flashbacks. They're just like, oh my gosh, shut up.
That was
Yeah,
me
dude.
with Carry On My Wayward Son
Yes.
by Kansas.
Oh,
Yeah, some of those like are so linked to that fucking game, Guitar Hero 2. That was it. Like, because Guitar
yeah.
Hero became big. Guitar Hero 2 is when everybody started playing it.
Oh yeah.
And you'd have the one friend who would only play the same fucking song, and you're like, bro, let's play something else, you fucking loser.
I'm good at this one, so I'm gonna
Then
challenge
you
you
had
to
the
this
the
one.
other friend who's like, you'd be going in rotations. The other friend sucks, so he's playing on like easy mode, and you're like, this is so dumb. Why do you even play this game, you fucking piece of shit?
See, we started playing Rock Band a lot when we got that for the PS3. We got the original Rock Band, right? And because it was me and my 3 siblings, Rock Band was perfect. So family game night turned into the parents watching the kids play Rock Band on the PS3. That shit was fun. I always got relegated to drummer because none of my brothers could keep rhythm.
Some people were really bad at drums.
Like they could play, they could do the guitar, they could kind of get the singing or whatever, right? The not as good of the 2 guitarists went on bass because that was the rule. And then I got stuck on drums because I was the only one that could use all 4 pads and the kick.
I feel like, because the other, like, playing guitar on that is so fucking different from playing actual guitar, obviously.
Oh yeah.
Whereas even though it's not the same as playing drums, it is more similar to playing drums on that than it is to playing the fucking guitar. And I feel like the level of difficulty was a little tougher.
Yeah, the drums definitely translates to the real instrument a lot better. Absolutely.
Whatever. I was the cool kid. I just bought my PS3. I spent all $600 just because the new Ratchet and Clank was coming out. And I was in 2007, and I was like, I gotta have fucking Tools of Destruction, man. It's next gen Ratchet and Clank. After playing Up Your Arsenal, I think I played through that game like 12 times back in the day. I would just like finish playing it and immediately start a new game plus. I was just like, I gotta play it again.
Yeah. But I guess to talk about a little some of the topics I put out there. I know, Reefer, you've been busy the past couple months, which is why you haven't been on lately. But I don't know if you got to catch any of Peacemaker. If you haven't, I wouldn't recommend it. But Peacemaker's finally over, and it is so funny to watch the very short honeymoon period that James Gunn had as like head of the DC universe, with a lot of what I felt like was kind of astroturfed overhypeness of Superman, which I don't think that calling it a flop is necessarily the right term for that movie. Over $600 million. Didn't make its money back in theaters, but is also not going to be a money loser for the studio overall. Like, I don't know if flop is the exact right term for that movie. Disappointment is the much better one. A movie that doesn't break even in theaters. A movie that you have to rely on video on demand and a couple things to get past that. But everyone's claiming it was massive. Everyone's claiming it was enormous, despite the relatively low ticket sales, despite the disappointing box office. And then along comes Peacemaker season 2, and I thought it was just a fucking shit show. And so here we are, like 2 months into the real start of the DC universe, and it seems like a lot of people already, maybe James Gunn should let more people make things instead of him. I fucking love it, dude. I think it's so funny.
I kind of checked out of Peacemaker season 2 after like there was like the giant orgy and shit, and then everybody was just saying fuck every other word.
15 minutes in the first episode.
Pretty much. I was just like, no, I didn't check out immediately after that, but I was pretty much soured on it, and I was just like, made to the end of the first episode. I was just like, I don't know, maybe if people say this is great or something, I'll watch the rest, but I really like have no interest in. I just like wasn't. You didn't really feel like there was any impending thing that you really needed to see. It was just kind of like, oh, okay, he's fucking around still. Now it's probably going to be like interdimensional and shit. All right, cool.
So that's exactly how I felt when Rings of Power came out. Like, I remember like QB was doing his member streams with it, and we were watching like Batman and shit for that stuff. And he's like, we're going to watch Rings of Power. I'm like, no. But my dad had Amazon Prime, or I have Amazon Prime, so I have Prime Video or whatever. And I was like, okay,
that is the only streaming service that people are subscribed to for nothing involving streaming.
Yeah.
Like, everyone has Prime Video because they want packages delivered to them in a day. And you also have access to like a massive fucking library of shit.
Yeah, it's crazy. Technically, technically the value proposition's insane. But I was gonna say, I was like, okay, fine. First 2 episodes drop. I bet I can watch it. So we watch party it, right? And I'm like, after like 10 minutes, I'm like, I need to go smoke. So I
Well,
went out. I
live
went
up
out
to
to
your
my
name.
garage and I got fucking lethally medicated. And I went back and sat in my chair and I didn't pay attention after that. Like I damn near fell asleep. I was like, dude, this is I checked out 10 minutes into the first episode and it was 2-hour long episodes or whatever the fuck it was.
Yeah, there was they needed to spend their however many 100 million each season. I know it's like $1 billion overall or something that they were planning. And who knows if
It was
that'll
$1
happen.
billion for like the first 2 seasons. The
Oh,
first 2 seasons were $1 billion basically.
oh
When you
shit!
factor
I
in
thought
the
it was
quarter of $1 billion that it cost just for them to get the rights to it,
Yeah.
Wonder if I
and
still
then
have
the
the ticket.
500 million they spent on the first season.
I went to the theater and watched the first 2 episodes of season 1 whenever
So
they
did
had
I,
the big
yeah.
event. Yeah, and I don't know
was
if I still have
free.
the ticket sub. Oh, okay.
That was
That's
a
right.
free, like if you were an Amazon Prime like person or whatever, you could register for that for free. And obviously they only did so many, but I do remember that because I went too. I was like, what the fuck is this shit?
Yeah, the effects looked really bad on the big screen. Like the immediate like frost troll and everything and Guy Ladrill and stuff. I was just like, ooh, rough start here. Let's see. And then the dialogue didn't improve it much. And the elf costumes on the big screen, everything just looks so cheap. I'm just like, especially because, I watch those movies in theaters, the Peter Jackson movies, like every few years they'll have an anniversary or something, and I pretty much make it a point to always go see them when they're available. Or like with the symphony, like I did a few months ago with Fellowship, and it's so you're used to seeing like things that hold up timelessly when it's Lord of the Rings, and with that, it was just immediately like this looks like a really cheap.
Dude, it looked like a Chinese knockoff.
Yeah, Timu, Lord of the Rings.
No, fuck calling it Timu. It's always been Chinese knockoff. Let's make sure. Yeah, let's make sure we get the all-encompassing term back in it because it doesn't matter what company it is that comes out of there. Shit's cheap.
Yeah, and then for Peacemaker, it just look. I was not a big fan of season 1. Didn't really dig it.
Never watched it.
I didn't think it was all that funny. Wasn't a fan of the characters. Just wasn't invested.
Mhm.
But that's one thing because it's like, okay, one random DC project in the DCEU. Don't like it. Okay. Now it's a different story. Now this is the follow-up to Superman. It's marketed as the follow-up to Superman, and it's marketed as the thing that is going to be instrumental in the future for the DC universe, like where it's going.
Fucking crazy to say.
Yeah.
Why would you ever say anything like that about any of your properties? Just make a game plan and fucking execute it and market it as the movies and they're like we're in universe. Just market it like that. You don't have to be so fucking extra.
I see so many posts about it, and it seems like he flip-flops. Like James Gunn just like he'll be like, oh, you don't need to watch this, but it is the key to everything. But you can also get by just you can still watch the next movie and you won't be confused. But it is essential to the story. It's like, dude, make up your fucking mind. Like, what are you trying to say? I don't understand.
And now there is some, like, I have some understanding for someone's responsibility as a studio head trying to get people to watch any project. In the same way I have some understanding for, James Gunn, when The Flash is coming out, and even though he really didn't have anything to do with it, he's now the head of this studio. And so he's being like, it's one of the best superhero movies I've ever seen. Everyone should go watch it. I have some grace for things like that. But it's a mistake. It's a mistake to set Peacemaker season 2 up like that. Because you didn't have to do this. You didn't have to make the follow-up to Superman, which is basically a PG-rated Guardians of the Galaxy. You didn't have to make your follow-up the R-rated Guardians of the Galaxy, which is Peacemaker, which is incredibly unfunny and cringe, and essentially serves as a platform for you to show off your wife.
Who's his wife?
Harcourt.
Harcourt, Amelia Harcourt, the blonde in Peacemaker, is James Gunn's wife.
The one with the nice
Oh.
tits.
Oh, gotcha. No, I knew who you guys were talking about. I've seen clips.
Mm-hmm. That's James Gunn's wife, who happens to have sex with everyone in this show. Basically.
Listen, I wish I didn't know how prolific that particular interest was.
What,
People
watching your
having
wife?
sex with James Gunn's wife?
No, John got it. Watching your wife.
I like Ryan's interpretation better. It's like a
Well, that's-
specific Pornhub tab, like James Gunn's wife.
James Gunn watching his wife have sex. Yeah.
They don't even say her name. All the videos are just titled James
James
Gunn's wife
Gunn's
has
wife.
sex with X. And it's just like...
I wish I didn't know how prolific that particular sexual interest was. It's unfortunate, but on that fucking note, I gotta go have lunch with my family. You guys have a good one.
I'm glad cuck porn is in your mind as you can go sit down for a nice family meal. That is very unfortunate.
So, son, what did you talk about in the stream today?
You think my
James Gunn's
parents know
wife.
I join these fucking things? Come on.
Yeah.
Come on, let's be real. But I don't show my face here.
Oh, I just assumed your name was Sir Reefer.
Oh, well, you
but-
know. Anyway, I'll talk to you guys later.
See you, man. There you go. There's Sir Reefer making his glorious comeback.
I might need some reefer because James Franklin just got fired.
I talked about that today.
Yeah.
I said, and I don't know if people took me seriously. I said I wonder if he's like coached his last game. I didn't know if it was gonna be right now in the middle of the season or after the season, but shit, dude.
Dude, that interception in the semifinals last year turned their whole program around. It was like we were about to go to the national title game, and I knew it was going to happen as soon as the announcer was like, he never throws interceptions. He's really good at taking care of the ball. I would let him throw it here. I'm just like, you fucking dumbass. We've been able to run it this whole, and then he's like immediately intercepted. And from then, Penn State's been like, we're a disaster.
Well, you started the season with everybody thinking, "Hey, this is the year." This is the year for Penn State football. That's what people were saying, man.
Yeah, it's supposed to be a down year for Ohio State. It was supposed to be like kind of like you're going to sneak in a window, kind of. You got an old quarterback coming back for whatever he was, like year 3 or 4 this year, and now he's hurt, and he ain't doing much anyway. But
Udite for $5 says the person who is worst at guitar played bass. So you're saying it's like a real rock band. Love the authenticity.
I was thinking that. See, I kind of wasn't. I didn't own those things, so I wasn't good enough to like play them if we were with people that own them. So usually they'd hand me Singer, and then you don't even actually have to sing the words. If it's a really tough song like a Ballroom Blitz, where it's really rapid lyrics, you just go da-da-da-da-da-da-da, and you just like make the fucking
The
tone.
technology was not great for the singing recognition. That is 100% true.
You just had to get the right tone, and the little line would go up the right way. Well, to cap off my weekend, I just need the Steelers to lose now because they're only up by 6 on the frickin' Browns. Although it is only in the early third quarter, but that's okay.
Yeah, we'll see. I've got the games on the side, so I'm paying attention to red zone and stuff that's going on here. But GraphWeb for $2 says, for fuck's sake, cancel Disney Plus. Disney Plus is for I don't know what type of shit is on there. If people are like, hey, I want all these old Disney things for like my kids to watch or whatever. Maybe that's one reason that people are subscribed. In terms of new content coming out, that is the worst fucking streaming service. There's barely anything that gets put out there, and all the stuff that does is just hot dog shit, honestly.
Before I did cancel it, the main thing I was using Disney Plus for was like just watching The Simpsons. And then I just started buying the early seasons on Amazon and just pieced out from there.
Well, the thing is, I think Hulu has a lot of value, like as a streaming service. And now they're doing everything in their power to fucking merge them and do all of that because they know that they have a fucking stinker.
Well, haven't they
Disney
started
Plus.
Haven't they started like giving numbers like Hulu plus Disney Plus subscriptions are at this number or whatnot? I feel like they've been kind of combining them anyway.
They are. I do not think that they are going to tell us individually like Disney Plus anymore. And there's so many bundles going on that maybe it does make sense for them to support it that way. But I don't know.
It's so, yeah. And I know I've brought this up on the stream before, but it's always funny when you can tell a lot about how successful something is by what numbers they're giving out. Like back whenever PS3 was failing miserably, Sony was like, well, our combined PS2 and PS3 shipments this quarter was this. Because like the PS2 is still selling pretty well, so they just wanted to mask it. And then like Xbox used to give monthly hardware numbers, like hard numbers. And ever since like Xbox One, when they fell off a cliff, when they tried to take away the used games and shit, and they were too expensive, they were just like, well, we have our user engagement numbers have increased 10% this month. We have many Call of Duty players firing bullets on our platform. It's like they just went super vague and wouldn't give anything hard anymore. And then it's the same thing now with like, Claire Obscure is like, they're like, we sold 5 million copies of our game. And then Assassin's Creed Shadows is like, well, 3 million people have played our game. It's like, what does that mean? How many did you sell? Give me a fucking hard number. But the more vague they are, generally the less successful, I find.
In general. Now there are things, and here's the thing, I think that even Disney has said we're not going to like report those solid numbers anymore. Like that's one thing they started saying about that. I think excuse me. I think that they felt they could do that because because Netflix had said, hey, we're not going to give you guys like quarterly subscriber numbers. It's a little different for Netflix, who like when they told everybody that, like, yeah, we added another fucking 10 million subscribers this quarter. They're huge. They're fucking massive. They're like rolling in money just from a streaming service. It feels a little different for them to say something like that than it does for a failing streaming service like Disney Plus, you know?
Yeah, I think you usually find that like once the numbers start petering out, it's like, are they going to report like we went up like Netflix going out on top like that? Yeah, that seems like more of a baller move where it's like, all right, we're done with this. And it's also like there's human population at play at the point that Netflix is at, where it's like, all right, as far as like civilized nations that are going to actually buy Netflix, we're kind of like topping out here.
But they have done a lot to expand now with them getting into sports and shit. You know what I mean?
That's right. No, what was it? It was Disney that had like the India,
Their cricket shit.
Oh, cricket. Yeah, that's what it
Netstar,
was.
whatever that. It might not be Netstar, but yeah, there was some streaming service that Disney had the rights to that played cricket shit. And that's like why everyone in India was subscribed. And so they got rid of that and they lost millions of fucking Indian subs.
Jeez. Yeah, when you cut off the billion person country, yeah, you're going to lose a little bit. But and then like even with the other like subscription service that I was kind of seeing how it was growing for a while, hoping that it wouldn't, because I didn't want a Netflix gaming, but it was like Game Pass. For a while they were like, oh, we did 20, we're doing 25, and then they got around 30 and they kind of just stopped saying, like even in their reports and stuff, they were just kind of like, it's still doing well, we're happy with it. It's like, what is that?
I'm glad they hiked the price because it reminded me to cancel that shit.
Yeah, I never felt like the subscription model worked as well, because it's like right now I'm playing Ghost of Yotei, unfortunately, but I was like, man, I hope I can finish this in time that I can get some more horror games in this month. And it's like, you can only, like, if you have like a big game, it's going to take up a lot of your time that month. So you really don't need like 20 games a month on a sub service. I don't know.
Well, here's the thing. I think it is a great value. It can be a great value for people. Like, even at the increased price point, if people are like prolifically playing games all the time, it can be a great fucking value. What I don't understand is how, like, for studios who like have their games on Game Pass, what's the compensation like for that? How does the compensation work for that? All of that shit. Those are all the big questions I've had in my mind ever since Game Pass started being such a big focus driver for them.
I think it's different deals for different people. So like some of them get back end based on maybe play hours or downloads or something. And then I think they've always been kind of vague about it though, as far as like case by case, because I'm pretty sure some of them, like the smaller indie studios, just get like a bag up front. Because one of them was commenting like a year or two ago about like, oh, these big sums that we were getting to be on these sub services, they're starting to dry up. We're not getting these big offers because they're not like having a bidding war for us anymore. And like I get it, it can prop up indie game. What I don't like about the whole subscription model in movies or games is it's like it makes it very hard for things to like fail or succeed on their own. It seems like it just promotes hope and putting everything in a big mushy pile of content where it's like, look at how many things you're getting. You should like it. And it's like, yeah, but I kind of want the bad things to fail if they're bad. And you really can't do that if you just like, if you're grouping it all together in like this big conglomerate. I feel like people get rewarded for making a shitty game as much as the people who made a good game, kind of, in some scenarios.
That's what I mean. Like, there has to be some sort of split based on like how your shit does. Like, how I feel the way I think it would make sense is, hey, if this many people are playing it on Game Pass this month, then this is like the share of the Game Pass revenue that some of these fucking places get. I don't know if it works that way or not. I have no fucking idea.
Yeah. Well, and that would it would have to go by hours, because that's what I hate about these numbers that they give now. They're like 7 million people played our game. It's like, well, what does that mean? Did they download it like me with Peacemaker Season 2? It's like, oh, I played for 10 minutes. This is shit. And I've done that with PlayStation Plus games before. Like, they have hundreds of games on their service. I'll try out one. I'll be like, oh, this is like a really cheap like horror game or whatever. It's you know, not my not my cup of tea, and I'm just gonna like delete it right away. It doesn't take that long. But they would count that as like, oh, he played it, good, another sale. It's like, no, not really. I'm not gonna pay for your service for that. I'm not gonna up my subscription again for that game. Like, and in the end, that's the money that you're getting. And
that's one of the reasons they use those things for a thing like Assassin's Creed 1000%. That's why they say that shit. People played instead of, hey, this is how many copies we sold. And I'm sure that's why we're not hearing much about Ghost of Yotei in terms of after that first couple days when they bragged about selling roughly equal to Ghost of Tsushima in that first weekend. That's why we haven't heard any other big numbers from them. We heard consistent numbers for Ghost of Tsushima because that was a game that people thought looked really cool, but did not have the hype surrounding it because it wasn't part of a sequel. It wasn't part of a franchise. So that grew by word of mouth, and people are like, holy shit, this is awesome. And people bought it and bought it and bought it. And they kept giving us those updates for sales numbers that were just ticking up. And even though that's a game that, say, only sold 1.25 million copies in its first weekend instead of The Last of Us Part 2, which sold 4 million, it ended up selling way more than Last of Us Part 2 overall. Now, why did Last of Us Part 2 have that much? Was it because it was such a good game? No, it's because it was part of a franchise. And you had a pre-existing fan base that liked Last of Us, that were looking forward to this next game, that were there to buy it. I could say the same thing about Ghost. In theory, it should have had a much high. If this was Ghost of Tsushima 2 and you were Jin Sakai, that number would have been double, I think, easily what we saw from Ghost of Yotei's opening weekend.
Well, and it was pretty funny watching the spin job, because it was like, oh, it's the #1 selling game in Japan this week. Suck it, haters. I'm like, what the fuck else was coming out? This is like saying Tron is the #1 movie in America this week.
It's like saying that Peacemaker is the #1 show on HBO Max, but it's actually, it's nowhere to be found in the Nielsen ratings, and at the Samba TV ratings, it's like the 17th most watched streaming show. So,
well, and
what
then
does
they started.
That mean? It means there's nothing on HBO Max coming out right now.
And then they compared it. They're like, oh, it did this much percentage better than Assassin's Creed Shadows. I'm like, shouldn't you be comparing it to Ghost of Tsushima? That's a little strange to just because it's another samurai game, but it's a completely different franchise made by a different studio that's multi-platform, not an exclusive. Like, yeah, Assassin's Creed Shadows did bad also. Like,
yeah. Well, then I guess back to Netflix a little bit. It's in the title already, Witcher Season 4. Dude, like, I'm pretty convinced that even if Witcher Season 4, which it's not going to be, you can tell by the trailer, you can tell by all these fucking people, you can tell by how the show's been for the first 3 seasons, it's not going to be any good. Even if it was like the best thing that came out, I don't know if there's any chance it could be successful. There's so much hate for the showrunners and the writers for everybody involved with the fucking franchise for letting it get to this point and for like making Henry Cavill walk away and all this shit. Like, even if it was solid, I don't think it has a chance in hell of being successful, dude. The shit is doomed.
Well, like season 3, it already had a major drop off, hadn't it? Even like, and then they sidelined Cavill for a lot of it, and then they had. When did that Blood Origin thing come out? Was that pre or post season 3?
I don't remember if it was before or after, but it was so bad, dude. That they got like 10% on Rotten Tomatoes audience score or something.
My extent of exposure to that, normally I like watching bad shit, but with the Netflix series, sometimes they're just like too long and too boring. Like, I like entertaining bad, and so it was literally just like kept to like Disbrew and such coverage where he like nicely summarizes things that happened. And I was just like, okay, yeah, I get the idea. It's more funny to listen to it this way.
Yeah, and like now they're like really fucking themselves by talking about Henry Cavill's departure because, you know, Lauren Histrich is like, well, you know, there were some projects he really wanted to go out and do, and we didn't want to really hold him back or anything, like pretending that it had nothing to do with creative problems. And then another report comes out from Netflix as they're talking about the show to introduce Liam Hemsworth and to be like, this is why he's really the guy going forward. They're like, oh, well, actually, before the second season even aired, Liam Hemsworth, someone, you know, they reached out to Liam Hemsworth and wondered if he would be, you know, wanting to come on. Wait, so I thought you said he had other things he wanted to do, but that's like before season 2 came out. So you're talking about like 2 or 3 years before people are trying to make the argument he left because he thought he was going to go back to Superman and all this bullshit. You're trying to tell us that? No. After season 1, there were creative problems behind the scene between Henry Cavill, who wanted to do right by the lore, and the people in charge. And they had already reached out at that point to try to get him replaced. Like, bullshit.
Yeah, because like it was still before season 2, whenever it was like fairly. And I will say, like, the one thing I'll give him a compliment for is at least like the makeup and stuff for Liam. It's like, okay, he looks like Geralt, I guess. Like they redid him. He doesn't look like Liam Hemsworth from the Expendables 2, I think that was the one that he was in. But obviously it's been a few years, so he's not going to look that baby faced. But it's like, well, good job, but your show has sucked so horribly. It's like, I feel like you just wasted money even trying at this point. Like, this is the time to can it. If Penn State can swallow $49 million to fire a coach that they need to get rid of, then you can slam whatever you spent on this so far and just be like, you know what, guys, we'll either reboot it in a few years, try again, or, you know, something else.
$180 million reportedly on season 4, the most expensive season.
Jesus. Is it more like episodes or something, or is it just a book that's like really action heavy maybe? I know that they still somewhat follow the books, even if they're bastardizing them.
I mean, it could just be in general inflation a little bit. I think the season before was like 160 million, so it is what it is. But you have to think like the way it's headed with all the backlash, is it really a good idea to spend that much money on this? Probably not. Now, Netflix is spending $400 million on the last season of Stranger Things.
That's one of their big, like, I feel like that was their first, like, huge flagship. Like, they had original movies like Beasts of No Nation and stuff. I'm trying to think of, like, what would have been before the first season of Stranger Things.
So, like, I feel like House of Cards was one of the first things for Netflix that really moved the needle. Orange is the New Black, I think, was pretty big for them as well. But obviously nothing to that level of what Stranger Things has been for several seasons. K-pop Demon Hunters was huge recently. We know that.
Yeah.
But I think, I mean, with Stranger Things season 5, I do think it's going to be one of the biggest things we've ever seen. It'll probably have way more watch time than K-pop Demon Hunters because it's going to be so long. And 400 million seems insane for a season of television. However, of the 9 episodes, all of them are between or over 90 minutes to 2 hours. So they basically made 9 fucking movies.
So it's like a
Stranger
British
Things season 5.
Yeah, it's like one of those British shows, like the one with Benedict Cumberbatch, the Sherlock show, was always like 1.5 hour episodes and shit. And I think they do that like fairly often, where they're like, it's kind of novella kind of TV episodes. But
Oh yeah, they're John Maciel said it. I think it's 9. Isn't it 9 episodes? I think it's 9, but maybe you're right. Maybe it is 8. But either way, you're talking about like 8 fucking movies.
yeah,
So you're talking around $50 million per episode, but the episodes are ranging from an hour and a half to 2 hours long, which is a little different than say, $40 million an episode for something like The Acolytes, a 30-minute long episode.
well, it's as we learned from Game of Thrones later seasons, the more you spend and the longer you make the episodes, clearly the better that they get. So, ready for the best season yet. And
I think Stranger Things season 5 is going to be huge. I said it, and some people didn't like the way I phrased it. It's not that I was asking for mediocrity, but what I said was, as long as it's not horrible, as long as it's like halfway decent, I think because of the nature of the property, and you can have everyone complain as much as you want. Yeah, it's not an original tweet to be like, oh, they're all fucking adults now. You've got people are acting like these kids are 40 when I think Millie Bobby Brown is like 23 years old. Finn Wolfhard's like 21 years old, and they're going to be playing like 17-year-olds. Like it is not that big of a deal.
Just like, basically keep it simple. I mean, you're going to face another super powerful demon, have it be like, one last ride and everything. Maybe have Vin Diesel stop in just to say that. And then, you're good to go.
Well, we saw how it kind of we saw how it ended in season 4 with like Vecna achieving what he wanted and opening that fucking crater, in Hawkins and all of that shit. We'll see. I hope they deliver. I thought season 4 Stranger Things was really fucking good, so I hope they deliver. And I think the release schedule is on point for them. Like Netflix is trying to find a way to still do the binge model, but also take advantage of staggered releases by doing like half a season now, half a season then. Cobra Kai, they split into 3 parts, but it was over like 8 fucking months, which I think was bad for Cobra Kai. This one, it's in 3 parts, but it drops on Thanksgiving. The next one drops on Christmas, so a month later. And then a week later for New Year's, the finale drops. I think that's going to keep people interested and invested, and it's not too far apart, but it'll also get them what they want and people talking about it for an extended period of time.
It's also, since the show's been out so long, and it's like, it's got gory bits, but overall, I think it's a lot of people have gotten into it whenever they were younger. And like, you're kind of in that teenager to like young adult kind of market. I feel like a lot of times it's like good to have it around holidays when you got like the family gathering. You might have some like, everybody can kind of watch it, or, if they're into that sort of thing, obviously, but you get a little bit of hype going that way. I always think I'm always looking for shit to watch around Thanksgiving or Christmas and stuff when you're all gathering together anyway.
And whether it's like whether you're going to watch it with your family or because everyone does have some time off and stuff during that time, not everybody, but a lot of people have a little bit of time off during then. So we'll see. And it's like, again, I don't think it's not a kid show, certainly, but it's also not overly like gratuitous type of violence or anything. And the violence is typically on fucking, weird creatures and shit, which doesn't feel like the same as like dudes getting their fucking, like watching another dude beat the shit out of like some dude and rip his head off and shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Unless you get PETA involved, maybe they'll differ with you in that opinion. I don't know, but
I don't know
if they go for interdimensional beings or not.
But yeah, I mean, I think they're hiding The Witcher, dude. We didn't get a trailer until less than a month before that fucking show comes out.
They're doing what was that? Echo. They're doing like the Echo with it, basically, where they're like trying to push it out, like maybe in between a couple things, or like when something else is going on, so they can just be like, there it went. Oh, look at it. It's gone now. Anyway, so this next thing we're releasing is Stranger Things.
Yeah, kind of, because like Witcher's going to come out October 30th or 31st. I don't know if it comes out on Halloween or not, but right at the end of October. and Stranger Things comes out a couple weeks into November for Thanksgiving. So that is going to overshadow like the Witcher conversation, you know, in a couple weeks.
Yeah. I always hate whenever like sometimes the release dates seem really weird to me. Like they're doing like Five Nights at Freddy's 2 in like December instead of October. I'm like, release your horror shit in October. It's always going to do better. People are in the mood. It's fall, you know, it just fit. Or like January kind of works for that, I guess. It's like a down month. But like, yeah, like Witcher releasing on October 30th just seems like people's mind are going to be on other things anyway, which maybe, like you said, they're kind of hoping for that. They're like sneaking it out. But
yeah, because the first Five Nights at Freddy's came out October 27th.
Yeah. And even that's like, you could have put it out probably a couple weeks earlier and done even better as far as legs go, but that's still a good, like, hit it right at the peak. Yeah. Because, like, you know, pretty much as soon as October starts, I feel like everybody's kind of in the mood to, like, yeah, I'll go watch a slasher. I'll go watch this or that, you know. And that's how Netflix, like, they had The Haunting of Hill House. I think that was either September or October. They did, like, Haunting of Bly Manor and stuff, like all the, you know, more classy kind of horror stuff that they did.
You know what's crazy about Five Nights at Freddy's? It was released on Peacock on the same day. It was released on Universal streaming service the same day it came out in theaters.
Oh,
and
they
it
were still
went on
doing
to
that.
make $300 million or whatever.
So they were still like in the COVID kind of model of like,
not like that. That was the weird part. Not really. But they wanted to use it as a driver for Peacock, I think. But the fact that, because that's one of the excuses for James Gunn's The Suicide Squad not performing well. It was released, and I think it's reasonable. Like, if you release it on a streaming service for free, by for free, I mean as long as you subscribe to the streaming service, not some extra premium fee like they did for something like Black Widow or whatever.
Yeah.
In theory, that should dig into your box office cut, like because there's however many tens of millions of people subscribe to that streaming service that are probably just going to take the free thing you're giving them and not go to the theater to see it. And it still did 300 million.
Yeah. I do have to laugh whenever like an old movie will come out and like outperform a new one though. And it's like, well, I guess you can't use the streaming excuse. If Revenge of the Sith is going to make $50 million whenever it's available on all these streaming services, and it's still going to make money in theaters if people like the movie, like... I don't know. It seems like a poor, because people use that excuse for like Superman. They're just like, well, people just don't go to theaters anymore. That they just will wait for streaming in 3 or 4 weeks. I'm like, it doesn't seem to be true for every movie. Seems to a lot of movies get pretty hyped, or if they do well, they even delay the streaming release. What's it called? With Demon Slayer, the Sony CEO came out and said like, if you want to see it this year, you have to go to a theater. We're not going to put it on anything until 2026. And he like was very purposeful in that. And then you get all these people bitching in the comments about, oh, I don't want to go. The anime fans will all be screaming. I'm like, the theater's not constantly packed, guys. Go at noon.
Yeah. I do think for something like Revenge of the Sith, it's a little bit of like an outlier because that is, you know, yeah, so that's been available on streaming or whatever for years and years and years and years. However, it being out in theaters is an event we haven't seen in 20 years. So that is like that is like an event that you might want to go to the theater for. And, you know, for people that watched it when they were our age, if they have kids now that have never seen it in a theater, to take their kids to it, all that stuff, you know?
Yeah, and every once in a while, well, you know, I think it was for what would it have been for must have been for the 20th anniversary of Return of the King, where it made like a decent chunk. It wasn't like 50 million like that, but Return of the King came out the one summer and made like 5 to 10 million or something on its like little special weekend, because they're normally showing on less screens, less times. It's like, and I'll do that fairly often, but it's like you get a little chunk of change for something that, yeah, people probably all have Blu-rays for that are seeing it. I feel like in the top 10 or something, there's usually one of these classic movies like fairly often now in a way that you didn't used to see. That it's like, if it's really good, people will still go to theaters. They aren't even, so it's a really poor excuse for new movies whenever they're like, oh, it's not doing as well, and we have to lump in merchandise, we have to lump in later streaming. Look, it was streamed by 14 million people on this streaming service. So that's kind of like doing this at the box office. It's like they were probably already subscribed, so no.
Yeah, it's like, what is that driving?
Yeah.
You know, and so much goes into that because, all right, how many subscribers is this specific thing driving? How many is it retaining? but also depending on watch time and stuff like that, if you're selling ads for the ad tiers, there's so much complicated shit that goes into factoring in how much this specific thing is maybe making you.
It's very hard to gauge probably what's appropriate to spend on things, which I think is part of the reason why you get some of these exorbitant budgets where it's like, but we're making so much from all of our subscriptions. Like, but did you need to spend that many hundreds of millions? You know, did you need to spend that much on the Acolyte? Would you have suffered a major drop off if you'd spent $100 million less on it in like subscriptions or views or your overall revenue, like at all? It's a very strange model where everything's very nebulous, I feel like.
Yeah. And but the nice thing about that is it's like impossible for us to be like, well, look at here. This is what it made. They're like, no, we promise this is what it made. You have no way of telling.
Yep. I think that's why they like it a lot. Oh yeah, I didn't watch that trailer yet. Yeah. I watched them.
Cancel Disney Plus anyway, says Young Staub. Wonder Man looks like hot garbage.
And the
one thing I'll say for Wonder Man is it looks very different. Which I think they should try to do something different. I don't know if this kind of different is going to work. It looks like it could potentially be incredibly meta, and in theory, it could be a great fucking way to mock all the race swapping that we've seen. But I don't think that's what they're going to. I don't think that's the direction they're going to go with it at all. But yeah, it would be an opportunity to do so, but that's not what's going to happen. Wonder Man is like the trailer. It's like, hey, we're going to remake Wonder Man. We're looking for an actor. And the black dude who watched Wonder Man in theaters years ago is like, I have to be part of this. It has to be me. I'm here to read for Wonder Man. And you got randomly Ben Kingsley, who they did address it in the fucking trailer. Like, I'm pretty sure that guy used to be a terrorist. And like, it is like Ben Kingsley is playing the character that he played from Iron Man 3, who's pretending to be a terrorist, who is an actor, is now trying to act in this role.
Trevor Slattery.
I don't think it's going to work. I don't think anyone's going to watch this fucking show.
Yeah, they're gonna have a tough time because, like, even with the Mando and Grogu trailer, you had the usual people like trying to drum up hype, and it's just like all their big properties. I just feel like they're sort of like they're really forcing it at this point because they've fizzled out so much. Like, I don't even know if that's gonna make 400 million or something at the box office.
That would be stunning. Like if it has a solo level box office.
Yeah, I don't see, like if they had done it right after season 2, then I say like, oh, 700 or something. But after that, and after the so many years, because it's even stuff that's not even Mando related that's come out, that it's just killed all the hype for Star Wars in general. It's always like the MCU benefited from this for a lot of years, where everything attached to it got a little boost after Avengers. It was like, oh, first Thor movie made this, but then after Avengers exploded, the second Thor movie made like this much more. And it was, you benefit from being attached to that big blob of the franchise. But if this franchise sort of runs its course, or it's not as well received anymore, then it's an albatross. Then it's like going to drag you down, even if you're good. So you get the opposite effect. And you get that with Star Wars too, where it's like at first you probably got a huge boost just from being called Star Wars. But then after a few years and everything's fizzled out and gotten dragged down, it's like, well, now you're just like, people like have a hard time getting invested because there's so much, or they're just like, oh, I've thought the last 3 were shit, so I'm not going to care about that, even if it is good.
Yeah, and like also you just have the reality that they've turned Star Wars into a streaming IP now. Like that's all the shit that they've put out. It's a streaming franchise, and
7 years, yeah.
The level of quality is shit. There's been way too much bad shit that's come out, from Acolyte to Mandalorian to Book of Boba Fett to Obi-Wan to Ahsoka. And now you're taking what was your launching pad for your streaming platform, which is the Mandalorian and Grogu, years after its popularity has waned and it's almost felt like it's run its course, and you're trying to make that. Now, there's a chance that this is a fairly controlled budget. That might be the only thing Mando and Grogu has going for it. It was costing about $100 million to make these seasons of Mandalorian. You'd have to imagine they'd need to up the production quality a little bit for an actual theatrical release. Say they do 150 million. that might be the only thing going for them, that it has a slightly controlled budget, but I don't know what the budget is for it.
Yeah, and it's then you sort of go also. Well, I guess they'll put it on Disney Plus like 2 months later or whatever. Whatever their window is, so they can just say that it's going to get both. Which is what I usually think whenever they just put the movie straight to streaming. I'm like, why don't you just put it in theaters for a month? It's just going to be gravy for whatever you get. If you're going to put it on your streaming service anyway. But yeah, so at least they're, being somewhat intelligent, trying to squeeze that out just from a financial perspective. But yeah, I feel like the first season of Mando, it's sort of funny. It's like kind of bookended because it's like they came out right in the midst of Rise of Skywalker releasing, and they probably benefited from like the, I think it's the cheerleader effect, where basically like they were surrounded by Rise of Skywalker. So everybody was like, oh, thank God, it's just something super simple that's like not destroying everything.
Well, remember, they fucking introduced force healing in Mandalorian Grogu the week before Rise of Skywalker came out. Like, they planned that shit out.
Oh, yeah.
It's hard to remember that that's how far back this shit was.
Well, I knew they were both in December, so I knew it was like right in the midst of that release. I didn't remember the exact episodes that had come out before and after. So yeah, okay.
I'm pretty sure that they introduced the force healing in Mandalorian and Grogu.
I think you're right, because now that you say that,
force healing introduced in Mandalorian and Grogu. When was force healing? That was season 1, episode 7.
Oh,
so season 1, episode 7, Mandalorian release date. That released December 18th. December 18th.
Ooh, I think that was
Skywalker release date. I think it was December 19th or 20th, right?
Yeah, that'd be right around because it was like a week before Christmas.
December 20th, Rise of Skywalker.
Wow.
So it was 2 days before is when they introduced force healing, and then you saw force healing in Rise of Skywalker.
Jeez. So, yeah, that's a little bit of a... I guess they were maybe trying to build hype for the movie or something. It felt... Well, maybe they knew the movie was a disaster and they just wanted to get it out and have something successful, like, to distract from it. I don't know.
Remember these fucking retarded people who said that like Mandalorian was retconning the sequels and shit, and were like pushing these lies, when from the very beginning, the first season, not only multiple references to sequel trilogy stuff and sequel trilogy planets or characters or events, but also like you introduce this mechanism that was then introduced 2 days later in a sequel movie. Like, how fucking retarded were people to buy into that stuff? Dude. Crazy.
Yeah. But I still think it did, like, people were like, well, at least, like, it's not Rise of Skywalker, so it probably got some goodwill just based off of its release time, because a lot of people, they aren't going to go back years later and watch a Disney Plus show. I think EFAP talked about that, like, in the way that the shows are hyped and everything. Whenever they were covering like Mando season 3 or something, they're like, oh, everybody hypes this up and argues for it, and then they all admit that it's shit like a few months later, and it's like just becomes the hype cycle again. And they really don't seem to be something that's like, oh, I'm gonna go revisit this classic, I'm gonna go revisit the Obi-Wan series from a few years ago, because it's just something I go back to. Like, I watch fucking 80s slashers that were made before I was born, because they're more endearing than these like soulless streaming shows.
Yeah, I'll like rewatch The Office for like the 20th time, like before I go back and like, let me give Obi-Wan Kenobi another try. That shit ain't happening.
Especially because like people cover it so fervently during its release that it's like you're kind of exhausted by the time the show even ends, like talking about it. Well, especially you being, in this industry or whatever.
Yeah, in this fucking arena here. Yeah.
Yeah. Like you got to probably cover it on 4 different shows each time an episode comes out. But yeah. Then,
well, with that being said, John, I'm glad you showed up today. It was a small show, obviously a weird one. We had to reschedule a couple times for the supporter stream, but I appreciate you coming on, man. Where can people find you, and what do you talk about on your channel?
Oh, mainly some gaming and do a little bit of horror this month. I'm trying to get out a couple episodes. I got my picked it up at a con, my Freddy's Nightmares, which for those of you who don't know is the TV series that they made for Nightmare on Elm Street back in the early 90s. So I got a few reviews out for like the first 3 episodes. I'm doing episode 4 pretty soon. So and then probably be getting into some horror gaming more in the second half of the month because Ghost of Yotei decided to come out this week. So gotta be topical for now, but probably do some Battlefield 6 and Ghost of Yotei kind of shit later on today.
There you go. Well, John's link is right there in the chat, so you guys go give him a sub so you can watch him suffer through transgender Antifa lesbian samurai.
At least they fired somebody. I can at least be happy about that person's miserable now.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Blue-Eyed Scorpio with a nice recommendation. I'm watching Suits. You should try it, Ryan. You know damn well I already talked about fucking binge watching Suits when it came out. Blue-Eyed Scorpio, you fuck. But thank you. Thank you for the troll. And Raptor Rancher says James Gunn can eat my butt. I think he would rather watch while his wife eats your butt. If we know anything of his personality, I think that would probably be the case. But all right, guys, that's it. John is going to go celebrate the firing of James Franklin, his head coach, after a very disappointing year. And he's going to hope the Steelers don't. I think they're up by 2 scores now, though. So
now it's 23-6. All right.
Yeah. They've got this thing well in hand, I believe.
We'll win our division at 9-8 this year instead of getting a wild card at 9-8.
You're gonna be 4-1, man. You guys are on it. So we'll see what happens. But that's gonna be it for us. Thank you very much, everybody, for watching. I will be live on RK Outpost, my main channel, in maybe 2.5 hours, somewhere around there. So we'll see you guys there. Thanks, everybody. Bye.